Hello, I'm Oliver Colling, and this is the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz. Welcome back to the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz. We are a light-hearted quiz focused on 1970s UK TV trivia. And we're also the sister podcast to My 70s TV Childhood, which is a podcast dedicated to celebrating what it was like growing up in Britain during the 1970s, and especially considers the role that television played in our everyday lives. Whether you've just found us or you've been tuning in regularly, you are warmly welcomed. Regular listeners have our heartfelt thanks for sticking with us. This marks our 63rd quiz, and judging by your feedback, your enthusiasm for it still is high. And while they occasionally slip up with an answer here and there, overall it still sounds like you're enjoying what we do. If you have any comments, feel free to reach out with your thoughts on the quiz by emailing quiz@my70stvchildhood.com, commenting on our blog at www.my70stvchildhood.com, or connecting via Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X or LinkedIn. We genuinely do love to hear from you. Now, I can hear some of you out there saying, come on, get on with it, Oliver. So I will. Let's dive in. Grab a pen and some paper. Refresh your choice of beverage. I've gone with tea again this time. And let's kick off with round one. And this is a round called Catchphrase. And unfortunately, it's not about the game show originally hosted by Roy, it's good but it's not right, Walker, or that other bloke who seems to host virtually every game show now on television. No, this is about catchphrases used by 1970s stars or characters. Very simply, I will read the catchphrase, without attempting any accents this time, and you tell me who the catchphrase belongs to. Okay? Well, let's give it a go. Question number 1. Whose catchphrase was, "Hello, my darlings"? Question 2. Whose catchphrase was, "She knows you know"? Question or catchphrase number 3. "Nice to see you to see you." Hopefully many of you will get that one. And question 4. Whose catchphrase was, "Time for bed"? And finally, question 5. Whose catchphrase was, "It's the way I tell 'em"? Reasonably gentle for starters, I think, so let's go straight on to round 2. Question 1. The Tomorrow People featured in April 2024. What was the name of the rather unrealistic looking, or maybe just cheaply constructed, computer in the Tomorrow People's HQ called? So what was Tomorrow People's computer called? Question 2. Way back in April 2022, we looked at Coronation Street and Crossroads. Thinking of Crossroads, which actor played Benny Hawkins? So who played Benny Hawkins? Question 3. In December 2025, we took a look back at Big John, Little John, a show that featured a grown man who kept changing into a 12-year-old boy at the most inconvenient moments. What had John done to make this happen? So why did he change from a 40-year-old man to a 12-year-old boy? Question 4. December 2023 saw a set sail in the Love Boat. And I won't sing the song. What was the name of the ship in the TV show? So what was the name of the Love Boat? And question 5. In April 2025, we remember the various pop music shows targeted as kids in the 1970s. What was the name of the show presented by Aisha Bruff? So which show was presented by Aisha Bruff? And that's halfway. Hope you're hanging in there. And next up is our famous Spin the Wheel and Name That Tune round, where I spin our specially constructed Wheel of Fate to choose a year from the 1970s, which I will then input into our state-of-the-art AI-powered theme tune generator, which will then give me 5 theme tunes from TV shows first seen on UK TV during that year. Sounds complicated? Nah. So let's begin by spinning the wheel. And it's landed on 1976. Okay, let me input that into our AI-powered theme tune generator. And let's begin with theme tune 1. I can hear heads being scratched all over podcast land on that one. Perhaps theme tune 2 will be more recognisable. And how about theme tune 3? Theme tune 4 is another slightly tricky one, I think. And finally, theme tune 5, here's one I think many of you will recognise. And there we are, on to our final round already. And this is our TV Times round, where anything 70s TV trivia goes. Question 1. In Bless This House, Sid James memorably played Sid Abbott. Who played his wife Jean? So who played Jean Abbott in Bless This House? Question 2. Who starred as Jack Ford in Northeast drama When the Boat Comes In? And again, I won't try the accent on that one. Question 3. Which 1970s TV rental company rented out television equipment with the brand name Baird, as in John Logie Baird? So which TV rental company had the brand name Baird? Question 4. What was the name of the comedy series first shown in 1975 that featured George Layton and Jonathan Lynn as brothers, one of whom was a policeman and the other one was a sort of anarchist student type? And question 5. Who was the presenter of the Thames TV show Today when the Sex Pistols famously swore before the watershed at 9 o'clock? That famous sequence, who was the presenter involved? And that's it. Quiz number 63 is at an end. So before I give you the answers, let me go back to last time's bonus question. I asked you, where were the BBC TV studios in Birmingham which hosted a long-running daily lunchtime show? And the answer is Pebble Mill, as in Pebble Mill at 1. Well done if you got that right. This time's bonus question is this. Which was the final ITV region to begin broadcasting in colour in, believe it or not, July 1976? If you know the answer, then let me know by emailing quiz@my70stvchildhood.com. Alright then, let's reveal this time's answers. Round 1 or catchphrase round. Whose catchphrase was, "Hello my darlings," or "Hello my darlings"? That was Charlie Drake. I know I said I wouldn't do the impressions, but I can't help myself. Question 2. Whose catchphrase was, "She knows you know," or "She knows you know"? And that was a very unconvincing impression of Hilda Baker. Question 3. Nice to see you. That was obviously Bruce Forsyth, and I won't even try and do a Bruce. Question 4. Time for bed. Who said that? It was Zebedee in the Magic Roundabout. And finally, question 5, catchphrase number 5. It's the way I tell 'em. It's the way I tell 'em. By Frank Carson, of course. Alright, on to our marathon of Phil Rouge round. What was the name of the computer in the Tomorrow People? The computer was called Tim, T-I-M. Question 2. Who played Benny Hawkins in Crossroads? And that was the great actor Paul Henry. Question 3. In Big John, Little John, why did Big John keep turning into Little John? What had happened? Well, he'd drunk from the mythical Fountain of Youth whilst on holiday. Question 4. What was the name of the ship in the TV show The Love Boat? And that was the MS Pacific Princess. The MS Pacific Princess. And question 5. Which kids' pop show was presented by Aisha Bruff? And that was Lift Off with Aisha. Alright, on to our theme tunes. Now the first one I thought was quite tricky. This was the theme tune to The Cedar Tree, which I always remember being on what was the equivalent, I suppose, then of daytime TV on ITV. And it started off the opening credits with a big photograph of a cedar tree, clearly. Theme tune 2, I hope many of you got this. That was the theme tune to the New Avengers. Theme tune 3 is probably one of these that a number of you will be kicking yourself when you hear the answer because you recognise the tune. That was the theme tune from the sitcom Yanks Go Home, set in the Second World War, when the Americans arrive in this country and start stealing all our women, taking our jobs, etc. Oh no, that was something else. And theme tune 4. This is a theme tune to the television series called Bill Brand, which starred Jack Shepherd, later to become famous for Wycliffe, as a newly elected Labour MP finding his way around the House of Commons. And finally, theme tune 5. For those of you who were listening to the podcast last week, you would recognise this as a theme tune to George and Mildred. Alright, on to our final TV Times round. Who played Jean Abbott, Sid's wife, in Bless His House? That was Diana Coupland. Question 2. Who starred as Jack Ford in When the Boat Comes In? That was James Bolam. And question 3. Which 1970s TV rental company rented out equipment with the name Baird? That was Radio Rentals. We had a number of Baird TVs at home. I'm sure some of you did too. And question 4. What was the name of the comedy series starring George Layton and Jonathan Lynn as rather mismatched brothers, one of whom was a policeman, the other an anarchist-type student? That was called My Brother's Keeper. And finally, who's the host of the Today Show on Thames TV when the Sex Pistols famously swore before the watershed at 9 o'clock? And that was Bill Grundy. So, how have you done? Are you celebrating a small prize after having your picture featured in The Gallery on Vision On? Or are you sad that they regret that no entries can be returned to viewers? Whichever, I hope you've enjoyed playing our quiz. Do tell your friends about us. And please do comment, like, rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. That's all for now. We will be back next week with another regular podcast and again in a fortnight with our next quiz. Until then, make sure when you tell a joke, people say it's the way you tell them. And join us again soon for more from My 70s TV Childhood and the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz.